Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tech Talk, where we discuss the pressing topics of the week. My name is Christian Tejares, and we're so glad you could make us a part of your week. With me, our hosts, Chris Short.
What's up?
And Ryan Epps.
How you doing?
With that being said, our first topic is ByteDance has postponed the launch of its shopping platform on TikTok in the United States due to concerns about the app's future and a lack of interest from merchants. Chris, would this move be in any way correlated to the lack of trust in their platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at it from a ByteDance perspective, maybe now's not the best time. If it was my app and the U.S. government was pissed off at me, I probably would not be like, I know you don't like us, but you want to buy stuff through our platform? You want to give your banking information or, rely on us to deliver shit to your home address? Like, they're already worried about data. This is just times 10. Now you want to give your physical address? It's not good timing for. And it says, I know I seen it said maybe in June 2023. I don't think so.
For the shopping portion to release. Yeah. It's interesting. It's weird because for me, it's already available in certain countries, right? If I'm right with that, I believe it's in Indonesia right now. But it's interesting because like Facebook went to trial as well, went on talk to Congress, and Facebook itself started its own marketplace. So it's kind of similar in that regard. Why we're cool with Facebook doing it and not TikTok. I know it's coming from the business point of view, but it's interesting that TikTok is being or ByteDance, I guess, is being coy with that. Like, why not just drop it and not worry too much about the repercussions? They mentioned, I found this funny. They mentioned it as shoppertainment. Like, they called it shoppertainment. And I kind of love that. I kind of love that they're called that. And in my opinion, they should just go for it. Like, why? The fact that they're being very coy and very, dragging their feet with it makes me even more concerned. If that makes sense, right? What are they trying to hide? Or what are they worried about? Other than the fact that the US might just outright, take TikTok off all phones. Yeah. Weird paradigm there, I guess.
Oh yeah, you made a really
I
good
could kind
point.
of remember on the previous episode, Ryan, you did mention a couple of countries where TikTok was actually banned, right?
Yes. So
And
India. Yeah. I know India for a fact. I forget the other
Indonesia
places.
wasn't a part of it.
I don't think so. No. The reason I say this because I looked it up. So this was from November. TikTok Shop Indonesia, November 11th last year. They have access to the shopping center in the TikTok app via live streams, which is crazy. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the major concern would be people would be sharing their credit card details for this one, right? Their
And as
PayPal.
Chris said, addresses as well,
Yeah.
That's a big one, I feel like. Yeah. And the other thing is too, so say they do drop it, say they do, release it. Are people willing to actually use it? I'd be curious to see how many people actually use the service. At least in the United States. Yeah.
Well, I think what TikTok has on their side for this is the ability, something that like Amazon lacks, or even if you go even further back, like an eBay lacks, is the seller doesn't really have a way to creatively promote their product versus how
Yep.
you could do that on TikTok, right? Like Amazon, you're not
Absolutely.
going to see a video, somebody dancing with, their whatever it may be. But to your point, Ryan, you made a really good point about, what are you hiding or whatever. And
Yeah.
I can see it from that angle. Like, what do you have to lose, really?
Yeah.
Put it out. If people don't use it, if 100% of the people don't use it, then, even if 10%, that's 10% more than what you had before you released it.
Yeah. Oh, if anything, you'd at least, from my perspective, if anything, you'd want to just release it anyway, as if
Hmm.
you don't want to draw attention, right, to the at least, if I'm looking at it from ByteDance's point of view, you don't want to draw attention to the US, or even
Right.
just global concerns with data privacy and stuff. You just want to go headlong into it, right? You just kind of want to do it and not worry about what people are saying. But yeah, it's a weird stance, and I kind of get it, because what if it gets pulled from the US? I mean, then you have all of this. I'm assuming they have a ton of different people working on that specific side of the app, and you're paying these people for nothing, essentially, if it gets pulled from the US. So it makes sense to a degree, but it just also looks a little shady, kind of, at least to
Right.
me. But maybe that's already,
Yeah.
bias. It's already like recency bias, is the fact that ByteDance or TikTok already looks bad to us anyway, or has a, I don't know, has a bad look attached to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
there would also be a
reputation.
concern regarding demographics in the US and how much spending power the age of those that are using TikTok, because I don't know what the primary age of people using TikToks are in the US. You
Probably
would
like
consider
19.
they would be marketing for ages 16 and up. Those are usually the ones that are mostly using TikTok. So if you're going to be marketing
Yep.
something, their platform, we're using a payment service for it, what kind of income would those sellers actually get in return? Since those with spending powers might be in their 30s and above.
Yeah. And it, you know, also ad spending, or companies spending to
Yeah.
put ads on TikTok has slowed tremendously,
Mm,
for the sheer fact that, as you mentioned, the demographic on TikTok is mostly, below the age of 20, for, I don't know the actual statistics or anything, but
right.
it's definitely a younger crowd who don't have jobs, so who I'm so curious, like, who's going to actually use this?
We
20 year
also have
olds
to
are going
think
to be buying
about
stuff off
intent because
TikTok. It's
every,
just,
yeah, we also
sorry.
have to think about intent because every country, I think,
Yep.
has different intent on how they use the social media platforms. It might
Hmm.
be in the US just for social media influencers, like just to promote their brand, their own brand,
That's a great point
their
too.
own name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
According,
And
I just
there might not be enough sellers.
according to TikTok itself, 60% of users are between 60% of users are between 16 and 24.
Yep.
26% are between 25 and 44,
That's
but
crazy.
80% are between 16 and 34.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there is some buying
Interesting.
power there. And I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
appeal, the initial appeal of TikTok is creativity.
Yeah.
Like
For sure.
you it's, and I think it's easier to use than YouTube.
Interesting. So why you
So
say
I
that?
think
I'm
like the
curious.
app by itself, it's like it's very mobile phone based, right? Like click
Mhm.
this button, record, post, edit, all right here. Whereas YouTube is more of a, I can't believe I almost said traditional. I guess it is maybe more in the
Yeah.
infotainment or the internet space. YouTube obviously a very traditional platform, whereas TikTok is a disruptive platform that's doing, the quick reels and
So you
uh
open TikTok and you're automatically boom. Like, you already get your content
yeah.
I
fed to
think
you
not
immediately.
necessarily disruptive, but it's more of the algorithm. I think is much better at targeting the
Mm,
audience for
Absolutely.
certain
Oh,
things.
that's, I think, proven. I
mhm.
think that's like given, proven. Which may even help the shoppertainment aspect behind
Mm,
this. Because maybe you get the live streams, or you get the content fed to you far easier. You get the fashion, you get the brands that you already enjoy
mhm.
off the bat. Say you already have, a TikTok persona that you love, and they're, you know, showing some form of new shoes to you.
Right.
You're more inclined to buy those
Mm.
because you like this person, or you have a connection with them. And
This,
yeah.
yeah, I could definitely see this becoming the new, if we forget about all the difficulties they're having right now across the world with the data breaches or whatever it is people are freaking out over. It's like the new age, QVC, right? I mean, it could be a new QVC.
Yeah. 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 Um, it's one of those, I don't know, weird moments in time where I feel like we give too much power to the social media platforms that we use constantly, right?
Mm,
We kind of we don't really think about it, but they have a lot of power, a lot of hold over us, even beyond the concerns, even beyond the data concerns.
right.
Like I said, I mean, hey, or not Elon Musk, Facebook CEO, I can't think of his name, Mark Zuckerberg was put on front of Congress as well. So
Mm,
it's not just TikTok that we should be concerned about. I mean, hey, Elon Musk, Twitter, right? I
yeah.
mean, there's concerns all around. It's
Hmm.
not just TikTok that we should be concerned about.
Yeah, it is quite interesting that they actually mentioned that one of the reasons was actually a lack of interest from merchants. When I think this would be the platform where merchants would actually pretty much thrive for, right? And
Yeah.
pretty much live in, because it's actually much easier to create content than this. It's a much short form one
Mm.
that's easily digested and greatly targeted to their consumers. So why all of a sudden that this is the reason that they found?
Well, probably because it's Chinese owned, right?
Mm.
I mean, that's just off the bat what I'd say. I mean, they're if they think that markets or they think that certain businesses don't want to work with them, it's probably because of concerns just with the control that China may have over the application itself.
Mm.
Supposed control, whatever it be. Uh, yeah, I mean, uh, if I was the owner of a shoe store, I'd probably have a little bit. I'd have some fear putting my stuff up on TikTok. Yeah, I mean, so where we were talking about, people being concerned with credit cards and stuff. I mean, you put
Mm.
your business information up there, and they know everything essentially. They could figure out everything with the data.
Or we
Yeah.
could just simply just call a spade and simply because the current case in the United States is still up in the air in regards to banning them. That's why they're a bit
Yeah,
Yeah.
reluctant, right?
Yeah.
and that's to the point. Earlier we were saying it's like just drop it, like just release it. Why drag your feet with it? Because it just makes it look a little bit more shady. Like I don't know. It just looks weird to me personally. I don't know. But it did remind me a lot of when Facebook Marketplace released, and that still also has its own concerns too.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace pretty much doesn't have any security built in it,
Yeah,
and yet we,
yeah,
we don't hear that much scrutiny regarding it.
yeah, exactly. Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it wasn't China, I don't think it would be a problem, right? Anybody else did this, not a problem. Actually, it would probably be celebrated. If this came from the UK or, especially if it was homegrown in the US, there would be no. It's just China and I mean we have to be honest on a global scale. China is just simply not to be trusted. And are you going to
Yeah.
give them another door in?
Yeah.
No.
Hmm.
I mean, they do enough through the back door. You're going to let them through the front? Just,
Well,
At least
the
strategically, they can't be trusted.
the
But in
article also
terms of
mentioned. But go ahead. Sorry, Christian.
yeah, in terms of capitalism, pretty much China has everything.
Yeah,
If
the
you
hold
think
on
about it. So
chips, hold on.
we do trust them with manufacturing the stuff that we use back home.
Mhm.
Like even the toys behind me, 70% of the world's toys are actually made in China, and those are handled by kids. With the previous ones having had issues regarding asbestos, having lead, we still trust them. Like this is
sorry.
human
With
nature for
that, yeah,
us.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's the other two in the article that mentioned the other two marketplaces that are giving this TikTok shop a run for its money. Essentially, is Sheen or Shine. I don't want to mispronounce it, but it's
Sheen, I
I
think.
forget. Yeah. And I've seen ads for that. I've actually seen a lot of advertisements and stuff like that for Sheen. I can't say it right. And there's another one too. I forget. And I'm not 100% sure where they're based from, but clearly they have a lot of support, just in the States. Clearly, I mean, if they're getting pushed, especially with the youth, if the youth are buying clothes from them, then and they already have a foothold, maybe TikTok doesn't even want to go forward with the shop, and maybe
Is
they
Shein
just
the
don't
one
have
that's actually specializing in disposable fashion?
all I know is that Shein is tailored towards a younger crowd. It's like
Yeah.
teen girls, I believe. I could be
Mhm.
wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like teen girls fashion.
Mm.
So that just could be another example if they open up a store, an app store with the
Mhm.
same model as TikTok. Like pretty much they have advertisers selling their stuff on TikTok already.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a couple of them. They're actually live selling their goods.
I'm
So
curious now, like how would that look on like how would that look on, like, say Twitch did something like this? Like
Mm.
would people be more inclined to join up? Would US businesses or even just global businesses be cool to give their data and, I don't know, work with Amazon to put their stuff through Twitch? Does that make sense? Like, how would that work? I'm curious to see if that would be even viable. I don't know.
regards
Just
to
to,
this, I think it's pretty much a generational thing. I think different generations have different levels of trust when it comes to technology.
Mm.
And the
yeah,
same case could be with the social media platform. It could be that they're targeting this generation that has actually full trust when it comes to these apps, because I think this generation pretty much open to giving their full details online and haven't been shy
yeah,
about it.
that's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing. I don't know if it's like being from an older generation. I don't trust a lot of stuff, and that could just be. I mean, I'm sure when JP Morgan was opening banks, I'm sure there were people my age at that time that's like, I'm not putting my money in that building. I'm gonna, it's the same thing. It's a generational
yeah.
thing. This is something that's new, and me being from a different generation, it's like, I don't trust that shit. I'm not going. But then the kids are like, what? That's ridiculous. Like, this is perfectly fine.
Well, yeah, for me, I'd say I'm far more lenient in that regard. I kind of just, I don't really. It's not like I'm willy-nilly downloading whatever I
Mm,
want, but it's, I don't know. If there's an app that looks cool, I'll download it and not really think like
right.
what the repercussions could be.
Yeah. Well, I, th-
And
I
going
think
back to the whole Yeah, and going back to the whole US banning of TikTok, if this generation you guys think is actually in power right now, sitting in Congress, would they actually spend time with this kind of case, or would they be much more open to it?
If the TikTok generation
Yeah,
was
it's
in
pretty much
office.
sitting in Congress right now, and this
Damn,
comes
that's a good
along.
question.
that is
I
a
don't
good.
know.
Depends on
I don't
what side
know.
of the aisle they're on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, I personally, I think they wouldn't be concerned. They would greenlight it and not really think about it.
Well, I think on a personal level, if you look at TikTok and ByteDance and the collecting or the farming of information, personal information, and whether it be with or without your permission or whatever, on a personal level, like it doesn't affect me personally. If they know that I like Nike shoes, then and then they start sending me Nike ads like that, to me, I don't care. But I
In
think
fact,
on a
that'd be better, I think, right?
yeah,
Some people would prefer that. Mhm.
I think the concerns are if you get everyone's information, then you have a very you can, if you're, an evil, villain like China tends to be sometimes, and you can use, if you know what 90% of a nation enjoys or doesn't enjoy, like you can manipulate that society. And I think
I see
that's
what you're saying.
really where, because I know you guys have heard that
That's
like
scary.
in China, the algorithm is like engineering, STEM, right? It like kids are seeing all these incredible things, and then in the U.S., you're doing fucking pop locking and all that stuff, and it's kids are dancing in the U.S. because of TikTok, where kids in China are becoming interested in STEM.
Interesting. I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
somebody can fact check me. I've seen that I've read that in a few different places that the algorithms, depending on the country, is
Very
they
different.
send
Yeah, that makes
garbage to the
sense.
US and they're promoting education in China.
Interesting. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
Oh.
could fact check Chris on this. And what's even more important to us is your reaction to this. Do you think this is something that is postponed because of the US potential banning of TikTok? And are there any concerns regarding the sharing of personal details? Leave it on the comment section below. And
Yeah.
with that being said, our next topic is Elon Musk announced that he will step down as Twitter CEO and will now become the company's executive chair and chief technology officer. This was followed by a poll where he asked his followers if he would step down, with 57.5% saying yes. Ryan, is this in any way reflective on his followers' perceptions of his management on the social media platform, or is this more driven by his current political stances?
Um, I don't I don't think it's I don't think it has anything to do with his political stance. And it's not like it's not like he's rescinding his role. He's going to still be um part of the leadership at Twitter. I just think he's been in the position now for quite some time, and he's ready to kind of move and do other stuff. It's felt like he's only been focused on Twitter this whole time, and he hasn't really been working on other businesses and other products. And I feel it's about time that he kind of, steps away from all that. I mean, especially with his just antics on the platform itself, it's just kind of making a fool out of himself, and that probably doesn't look good to his any of the stockholders in any of his businesses. So yeah, I think it's more of a power play, as it were, not necessarily anything to do with his politics, if that makes sense. I mean, the new Twitter CEO, was an NBC Universal. She worked at NBC Universal. She has credentials of being kind of forward facing, or knowing what to say when to say it, right? Knowing the right thing to say when to say it. And that's probably good for the role that she's taken. But will she be a good CEO? I don't, I have no idea. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't think according to Elon in his, I think it was in his Tucker interview, it doesn't take that many people to run Twitter.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm sure I can imagine, and I don't know, this is obviously speculation, but if I were investing in SpaceX and my rocket that I've invested in got off the ground and exploded, I would probably call Elon and be like, can you please stop screwing around with Twitter and come back over here so we can get this going? Right.
Yeah,
Like,
probably do some soul searching, right?
yeah, be like, bro,
Yeah.
come on. Like, Twitter's fine, man. We're trying to get to Mars and you're worried about,
I will
whatever.
say I don't know statistics, but I will say, for me personally, I found myself using Twitter less and less of late. It's great. It's a great resource for the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But lately I just felt like it's kind of, I don't know, devolved into. I mean, you could even tell there's cracks. Like I said, like one of I think the very first podcast we had, I discussed the fact that like I was getting shown stuff that wasn't even like people that I followed, and I wasn't alone. A lot of my friends actually were seeing like posts of people getting killed and stuff, like just like messed up stuff that they clearly weren't following, and it's don't know like where that's all coming from. Maybe it's just because he downsized a lot and there's just less hands at deck, or less hands on the actual platform itself. But I back to my point, like I've used Twitter less and less, and I found that it's not as helpful of a resource as it once was. I found myself going to Reddit a lot more, even though that's even though it has its own issues. But yeah, I don't know. Especially with the promotions, you can tell like the ads on Twitter have changed drastically. You just see random ads now of like even just like one ad I saw was a YouTube creator. Like what? There's a YouTube creator promoting their stuff on Twitter. It's just interesting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird place right now. Twitter's a weird place, and it needs someone a bit more competent. I feel not that Elon Musk isn't confident, just someone that kind of might have a better way of steering the ship. If that makes sense. And I think she's good for the role. I think she's good for the role. We'll see. I mean, and again, she could just be a fall guy. She could be a scapegoat, right? Maybe something comes up 2 months from now, and she's just essentially the fall guy for Musk's incompetence or Musk's I don't know, undue diligence with the platform.
Yeah, Elon still owes the world an electric truck, right?
What's that?
Elon still owes the world an electric truck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He could
that's
just
very
be
true.
spending his time there.
And underground taxis.
Didn't that break down recently? I if I remember correctly, the Cybertruck.
Like
He was like
everything that
driving
he's
the
been
Cybertruck
doing,
somewhere.
everything he's been doing for the past year now, it feels like he's actually running for office. This is the kind of publicity stunt that people running for office actually do.
Interesting.
Well, he can't though. I mean, what office he got? Was he going to be governor of what? No, he can't be president. He's not a U.S. citizen or born. What? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's been making rounds on talk shows, on doing exclusive interviews. Like this is the kind of portfolio that you need if you want to be running for office.
Interesting to say that. I could see that. I mean, he's been very vocal about his political beliefs on both sides. I mean, it's clear that he's not necessarily GOP.
I feel that sometimes he's been pulling a George Santos on everyone. Like he's been pretty much catching every agenda from every party that he can. Often backtracking on.
Well,
every interview doesn't actually correlate with the last one.
Well,
interesting.
I think right now we are so accustomed to seeing these people in positions, right? Where of power, influence, whatever. Everyone right now is either left or right. Right. But then you have people like Bill Maher, who is admittedly liberal and also admits that the liberals have gone over to the wayside. Joe Rogan, who has been deemed conservative, not conservative. He doesn't consider himself conservative. He has, like he said, many liberal viewpoints. I think Elon's the same. I'm kind of the same. Like, this may, I don't care. I believe you should have the right to an abortion, right? If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I also believe if you want to buy a gun, you can buy a gun, right? Like,
for sure.
For some reason in the U.S. especially, it's been forgotten or maybe ignored that not everyone is on. Some people are here.
Yeah.
And I think, as soon as you say, Elon says, I want to do electric cars, save the world. The left says, we love you. You're a savior. When he says, I want free speech, now all of a sudden he's a demon. Like
everyone freaks out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's hard.
I think another question for you guys is, do you think Elon's stint as CEO has been quite productive, or has it just been disruptive all this time?
I think it's been a reset.
I want to say disruptive, but like that's like his MO. Like he wants to be disruptive, so disruptive, but like that's what he wants, that's what he wants to do. And does that mean that it hasn't been productive? Not necessarily. I mean, I have no idea how Twitter stock is doing. I mean, I could look it up, but I mean, it like
because have we seen any progress when it comes to Twitter? Like, has there been any improvements, like
bumps in user base or anything?
People,
I don't think.
If we think about unbanning people, this is just getting people out of jail, but the crime is still there. It still
That's
exists.
the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The crimes are subjective.
Yeah, it is.
Like the lady from Canada, I cannot remember her name. That I think she lives in Mexico now. She got banned for life only because
from Twitter.
Yeah, from Twitter, because she said men are not women. And that type of stuff, I think you should not be punished because of an opinion. right? Whether
agree.
it be wrong or you could have like the worst opinion, but it's not punishable to be an idiot.
Depending on the opinion or depending on the statement, I feel like, right?
Right.
In that instance, I think it's fine, especially with what Elon had said from the very outset about buying the platform, that, free speech is the absolute pinnacle of like what he wants. Like he wants people to say their mind. But, if you're spewing like, I don't know, racist stuff or even like, I don't know, neo-Nazi stuff, I don't know, like, do you keep those people on the platform? Definitely not. Definitely not. But then again, like, so where do you draw the line? Like, where do you say free speech? You can't have free speech. Like, it's one of those tough discussions. One of those tough, on his part is what I mean.
Right.
Because he wants to be this savior for people speaking their mind, but not everyone can speak their mind. I mean, well, I don't know.
Well, I think the root problem there was the obvious bias. Like, for example, I think one of the most blatant examples that I'm aware of complete bias on Twitter was removing Donald Trump, but the spokesperson for Al Qaeda still has an account. So Al Qaeda can be on Twitter, but the president of the United States cannot. That to me that's just
interesting.
Like they kill people,
no
they
idea.
decapitate
Al
people.
Qaeda has a Twitter account.
Yeah.
Do they also have AdSense?
I don't know.
Super follows. But I totally agree with the fact that like them banning Trump off the platform for something that didn't really happen on the platform necessarily. I mean, you could say that he, riled people up using the platform, sure, but can you show me a post specifically that he put on Twitter saying, I don't know, inciting violence? Actually, I don't know. Like the Trump thing really does, I don't know, prove the point that before Musk, Twitter was just kind of acting on the populace's own mindset. If that makes sense, right? Everyone wanted Trump off the and it's not like Twitter was the only place that did that, right? Or Trump was like taken off everything, like he was erased off the planet essentially, and he was the president at the time. He was still the president at the time, which, like, I don't know, that little. I don't know what it's yucky. It's yucky. Like it's the best way I could describe it. It's yucky. And it's just and it makes us look bad. Like the United States, it makes the United States just look incompetent, especially now, right? With Biden, I don't know, Biden falling off bikes and stuff, but he's good. He's good on the platform. He's fine. He could say kind of whatever he wants on the platform, talking about ice cream after a school shooting. Like
he does say whatever he wants. Like I opened I'll open it right now. And I'm not going to read the tweet, but like a lot of these are just like, for example, he says that MAGA House Republicans, 100,000 teachers and support staff will lose their jobs. I don't see a fact check here, and just I don't believe it at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, really, Republicans want to cut 100,000 teaching jobs? I don't think any practical thinking American would want that.
Yeah, I agree.
The pandemic got there first, so
it's true.
They wouldn't have much work to do, like as usual.
I think what he's referring to is the Republicans' distaste for the teachers' union.
Yeah. I remember that coming up, and it's...
Yeah, that's the thing with Twitter. I like going back to what Elon Musk actually said. Like, Twitter can run with just fewer people. Like, I was wondering how many of those fewer people are actually running oversight on things with regards to what's being on their platform. Like, if you're just going to leave it unpoliced, we do agree that there are levels of free speech that needs to be policed.
Yeah.
And free speech should be propagated. But there is also a factor of morals and ethics when you exercise your free speech. I think that's the one of the things that they should discern. And I was wondering if he actually had any installed anyone with oversight regarding what's being said on the platform. Not necessarily ban people, but at least monitor what's being said, whether it will be destructive or disruptive in any form.
I mean,
Like an example would be just tweeting about white nationalist stuff. Okay,
exactly.
tweeting about uh, civil war stuff. There's a difference to it than someone actually organizing it.
Yeah.
So if it's just going to be running with fewer peoples, how many of those fewer peoples are actually running oversight on things?
Very
And if he actually
slim, I'd
fixed
assume.
it when he was CEO.
Very slim,
Well,
right?
Very slim.
I
Yeah.
mean, at this point, I don't think Twitter needs a CEO more than Twitter needs like a sheriff.
Interesting.
You
Why
know,
do you
like,
why?
yeah, but I mean, I think okay. So, for example, let's say you take the Supreme Court format, right, or the structure of the Supreme Court, where um, it's an odd number of people. They're appointed, and the whole appointment process. I'm not sure, if you want to do like a Twitter space, and let people speak their mind, or put just like they do in Congress, right? They have to get nominated, they have to get what's it approved? That's not what it's called, but whatever it is,
Voted in too, right?
yeah, like and put a group of 5 or 7, or to police Twitter, just like, I mean, he says it's the town square. You don't think there's police in the town square?
Yeah. Yeah.
Vote
Yeah.
based, right? Majority rules. Odd number of people, 4-3 takes it. One of those type things. I mean, I feel like it's a very simple solution, but obviously it's not, because it hasn't happened yet.
But I think that goes against what Musk wants.
No,
Musk
Yeah.
wants people to just talk their mind, right? I mean, without repercussions, maybe not repercussions, but without, potential repercussions, I guess. He'd prefer people to have their say and not really worry about being banned or being silenced. And yeah, we were saying earlier, it's not like everyone can say whatever they want.
right. I think we can go, maybe not silenced, but shushed.
Yeah.
Right. If we could get it to a level of shushing, right? Just, hey man,
like
don't.
I like that. Yeah.
Keep it down.
But
yeah.
I will say, barring the barring all that, like I will say his push into making the check marks a payable service, right? A paid service, I think actually will help them bring in some money. And I do think his contributions to content creators, making them or allowing them more avenues to make money, specifically using Twitter, is actually kind of it's a good look. It's good what he's doing for content creators. So I will say that. I will say it's not everything has been kind of, I don't know. Not everything has been negative on his part. But it has felt
Yeah, it's
like he's
also quite
just had the
interesting that
role just to say whatever he wants, right? I feel like he's been in the role just to be like, I'm Twitter CEO. How cool is that? It's like,
Right.
shut up, man.
it's also interesting is moving into the position of chief technology officer. That
Yes.
could mean a big thing for them. It could also mean that the new CEO would just be a figurehead.
That's my point. Like
Have they
scapegoat, essentially.
announced a new CEO?
Yes.
Yeah.
Linda Yaccarino. I am butchering that for sure. But
Yeah, I don't know how to say it either.
Linda Yaccarino, I think that's how you say it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she worked for NBC Universal before her position here.
Yeah, she's had a long list of very influential positions, and coming from NBC. I mean, we already know NBC's on the left side. So, but then
Mhm.
I seen a tweet earlier today, and it's amazing to me. Twitter is such a toxic and addictive place. Somebody took the time to make a list of the conservative personalities that she follows on Twitter. And then like the last line was like, what to make of this? And it's like, Nothing, bro. I follow
Yeah, who cares,
everybody.
man? Yeah,
I
yeah.
follow liberals and
I think it would be more impunitive is the word, or more important to look at her likes, and even then,
mm,
like even what she's liking on the platform, who cares? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's so it's so surface level, right? That doesn't really give you a purview into their actual mind. Just because they follow people doesn't mean they actually believe in their
right,
ideas or their ideologies.
right. And I mean, you have to give, Elon Musk did not anoint her, right? She accepted the position.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
there was some discussion, obviously, and I doubt he offered her so much money that she just couldn't refuse it. There's something she has a vision, or their vision aligns, and it may, and I mean it also, she could be you know the the voice of reason, for, because he's a little like, well, everybody can do anything, and then she's like, well, no, not every, you know what I mean? So it could be that kind of counterbalance to what he's already uh doing. He realized, he's a smart man. He realizes that he doesn't know everything, especially when it comes to shit like Twitter. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good
I
move.
think in her position, I think the number one thing, yeah, it's like clearly from this conversation alone, like the number one thing that if I was in her shoes, moderation would be like the biggest avenue, right, to her success, right? If she
Mm,
wants to prove herself, bump up the moderation on Twitter and like show that you actually care about how the platform looks and
mm,
how people talk on the platform, how people express themselves on the platform. And without I guess stinging some people, because again, Elon made this huge thing about free speech, but
mm.
I don't know, free speech, you can never have total complete free speech. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Well, yeah, yeah, it does, because it's illegal to screen fire in a crowded theater.
Yeah.
You can't say whatever you want. You just can't.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great point.
I feel like Christian has
Yeah,
something.
I was waiting for Christian. I was waiting for Christian too. I was waiting for Christian to
Well, I
go.
think we pretty much unloaded the clip on this one.
All right. Well, yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, we're pushing. Yeah, I think that's about time.
We pushed it to where we could actually push it and can't push it anymore.
Yeah. Actually,
But
I want to ask you guys. Uh, I don't know how tech related this is, but Mother's Day is coming up. How you guys have any plans? Is it for me personally? My mom's not a big materialistic person, so a nice 2 hour phone call will suffice. What do you guys got
Same,
going on? Yeah.
same. Yeah, my mom lives in
yeah,
Florida, so
Mm,
I'm gonna probably call her tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much think I'm the only married man here, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be heading
yeah.
out with my wife and I'll be visiting my mom in the cemetery,
Oh,
giving
Oh,
her yearly
damn.
flowers. So
okay.
it's pretty much the Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I'm interested in one thing right now is what do you guys think is the perfect Mother's Day movie to rewatch?
Ah, that's a question. I have no idea. I'm
Mother's Day.
terrible with that.
I just watched a movie on Netflix called Mother, and it's J Lo, and
Mother.
it's
I
pretty
think I
good
know
actually.
that one.
My answer, and this is solely because it's my mom's favorite movie. It's Field of Dreams. Field of
I
Dreams.
feel
Oh,
And maybe that's biased, but that's my mom's favorite movie, so that's what I'm gonna say.
that's a good one. Um, I don't know what my mom's favorite movie. I don't know that my mom's a movie person. She's more of
Right.
she's more of a, what's that show where like people with like $50 in the bank move to Europe and buy like a mansion? What is that shit called? Uh,
Oh, wait, I think I know what you're talking about.
it's like we're elementary school teachers and we're looking for a 3-story in Europe, and it's like, how the hell are you affording this?
I don't remember this. I know what you're talking about though. I
But
can't
yeah,
think of the name.
I'll ask my mom tomorrow. She knows. It's like House Hunters International, I think is what it is. Yeah,
mine
that's
would be I
more.
think Crazy Rich Asians. That's basically a
Oh,
Mother's Day movie.
Yeah.
Like everything is centered around the matriarchal structure of the Asian culture.
Okay.
Pretty much the expectation of a woman there, how they should act, who should they should associate themselves with. That's pretty much reflective on how I grew up with. I think pretty much if my mother was actually alive, she would love it
Oh,
Just
because
you go
yeah.
ahead.
she can actually see herself with
Mm,
those on
Interesting.
screen.
I like that. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
What
I don't,
about
it's
like?
like, are there a specific movie? Like, is there a specific movie for Mother's Day? I honestly can't think of any off the
I
top of my
think The
head.
Blind Side is one.
Oh,
If
The Blind
anyone
Side's
can
a good
Oh,
remember
one.
that, she
that's
was a
actually a really
surrogate
good one.
mother before.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about Alien? Right? She gives birth to the alien, right?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that
I know she give birth, or like it. I know it comes out of her somewhere.
one.
Oh yeah, my mom
Alien.
feels sometimes like Jesus Christ, what is this thing that crawled out of me?
Like I think your suggestion for the Netflix movie Mother is actually a suspense thriller, right?
Yeah, it's J Lo as a badass assassin, and she kind of pulls it off.
Hmm.
The little girl is somewhat believable. The story to me, actually, as I was watching, I just watched it last night, and the story, I was like, I've never seen this story before. Where like the mother is, she's an assassin or whatever. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what she is. I don't know if she's an assassin or if she was like a super effective soldier. It's kind of unclear. Either way, she's a
Yeah, this
badass. And
this feels more like Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
It is the best one for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're also interested in what do you think is the best Mother's Day movie. So please place your comments
yeah.
down below on which ones you
Actually,
would like
actually, really
to watch with your
curious.
mom. And happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Yeah, happy
With that
Mother's Day.
being
Yes.
said, our next topic is Chinese scientists conducted a frame-by-frame analysis on the failed April 20 SpaceX launch. The Beijing Aerospace System Engineer Institute released its Starship analysis and confirmed that it would also conduct its own space launch. Ryan, does this mean that China is trying to copy the largest and most powerful rocket made to date?
Probably, probably, most likely, most definitely, actually. But it also could be trying to learn from, our mistakes. You know, they could also maybe not necessarily be trying to copy us, more so ensure that they don't run into the same issues that SpaceX has. And there's I feel like we use copy a little bit too negatively. It's copies doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. I mean, unless they're actually stealing IP and stuff, which it doesn't really look that way. I mean, we don't really know much other than the fact that they have taken a look at the spaceship and they're basing stuff off of that. So I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they have access to the SpaceX telemetry, right? If they have this
Yep.
data. Like, have they been consulted regarding this, or is this just an independent study on their part?
I wouldn't be surprised if they had some sort of consulting work with SpaceX. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
Like, would this
because
spark
the
a
aerospace
brand new
community,
space
they all
race?
work together a lot. You'd be surprised how much the aerospace community actually kind of works in tandem. Even though,
No,
what's
will this
that?
spark
Sorry.
another space race between
yeah,
China and the US?
I
If you
think we're already
think
there.
about it, it
For
is.
sure.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure. Not just with space exploration, but also just aerospace in general. I mean, China was one of the first places to really look into asteroid mining, and
Yeah,
now there are US based companies doing the same thing. So tit for tat, I guess, right? I mean, we're going to be doing
it
this
is.
for many years to come.
Yeah, and it is a superpower that actually is doing this. Like, I
Yeah.
never actually would think about US thinking about a space race with New Zealand. Even the Rocket Labs is there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and kudos to, again, funny enough, Elon Musk, right? kudos to him with SpaceX. It's really kind of paved the way for US, at least US based space exploration, and the fact that like a lot of different companies are leveraging SpaceX rockets for their own
Mm.
businesses and stuff. So whether it be Terran Orbital is a big aerospace company. They use a lot of they bring their stuff into space using SpaceX rockets. Even NASA, I believe, NASA's worked with SpaceX before. So
Mhm.
SpaceX has done a lot. And again, if I was China, I'd for sure be looking at SpaceX for inspiration of some kind, because they have proven themselves.
Right. Yeah, just getting that rocket off the ground. I'm sure, aerospace engineers and physicists and all that were like, oh, because I think we talked about it last time. Like just it leaving the surface of the Earth was a win.
Yeah, yeah,
So now, and this thing's huge. So now,
yeah.
of course, anybody that's, superpower or not, aerospace engineer, the one that designed your cell phone or whatever, they're like, oh, wow, they really did it. For us layman's, it's like, oh, shit, it blew up. But for the people that actually do this every day and know this very, very well, they were either impressed or maybe both, impressed and inspired.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
what is it? What did the White Schrute say? Imitation is the purest form of flattery or something like that. So if China
Yep.
said we want to copy your design, I mean, sure, why
What's
not?
funny to me is, in my mind, I think I trust that they could actually do this. Like
For sure.
all of the countries have pretty much outsourced all of our technology and all of our production to that country, that they pretty much gained every knowledge from every part of the world in order to build this.
The
Like if you
advantage
asked me
that
this, if you asked me this about 10 or 15 years ago, you'd probably hear a lot of bootleg jokes from me. But this I could probably take seriously because they've actually learned through the years that through their genius of outsource in gaining intelligence and production knowledge from other countries, they could
Does that
actually do it on their own. And
does it
with the
scare you?
manpower that they have, it's not impossible.
Does that scare you though? Like, is that should we be concerned?
I should be concerned that we are falling behind.
Mm.
Interesting.
I think the US is already
It's much
behind in
more
supersonic.
concerning to me when other countries are actually regressing and just one country is actually progressing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not an equal distribution of power.
Well,
for sure.
the incredible advantage that China has when it comes to these things. Is
Yeah, the capitalism of every country.
that and the complete lack of labor laws.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They can, like when COVID happened, they were popping up fully functional hospitals in like 3 days. Because
Yeah, they have the means and the manpower, but I think there's still more in terms of motivation on their part.
yeah, the
Like
government is
they came
incredibly
from a
motivated.
communist government. Like there's nothing much more motivating from being in a communist government. I think up to now that thing still hasn't been driven out of the culture. Like if you
Yeah,
tell 10,000 people to do something, they would.
But they don't have a choice.
Not unlike another culture, some people might question direction.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
think
They
that's
don't have a choice
what
to
their
question.
advantage is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You don't,
They have the
US,
highest population in the world, and
you know,
yet they are actually the ones following within their country.
Hmm. Hmm.
okay, that goes really deep. And I don't know how much of the population's motivation comes from patriotism as it does come from fear. Not only, maybe not even fear, but a lack of outside knowledge. Like they think that the government coming to your house and kicking your ass is normal, whereas
Yeah.
we know it is not normal. Right. So that's kind
Interesting.
of it it kind of puts you in different leagues, right? Like it's almost having a robot army because the robot doesn't understand that it's being overworked and mistreated.
Yeah.
So in the Western civilizations, you're right. People complain because we have the right to complain.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I
and
mean,
I'm sure an 8-year-old could put his arm in places and screw in tiny bolts that I could not. But luckily in America, we don't employ 8-year-olds. In China, they do.
wow. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, except for agriculture in the US. I think that's the
Yeah,
one gray area in things.
it's a good point. It's a good point. But
They
I mean,
don't
I
need
don't
to know.
see 8-year-olds building rockets, though.
Right. It was a terrible analogy, but you know what I mean.
No, but I get you.
If they
I get
have
you.
if they have an 8 year if they have an 8 year old that is actually building a rocket, that kid's a genius.
Yeah.
I seen the
Yeah.
news. There's a Mexican girl.
Yes. She's
Uh,
11 years old and she's already like, didn't they
she's got
give
a
her a quantum computer or something like that? Didn't
yeah,
they, or
she's got a
something? I don't know. I
master's
forget.
or something.
Yeah. They're, she's like, they got a higher IQ than Einstein and someone else. It's like ridiculous. Yeah. I
Yeah.
saw about this. Yeah.
What are
What's
they
her name?
feeding their kids there?
Yeah, both Einstein and Stephen Hawking. She has an IQ of 162. Not only is her IQ higher, it's higher by no, it's 70 points higher than average and 2 points higher than Einstein and Stephen Hawking.
Wow. At 11. She's, is she going to
Do
cure
you guys
cancer though?
think China would overtake SpaceX in this? Like they will be the
Uh,
one that's actually going to be
I want to say they already
able
have.
to
We
launch?
just don't know it.
Hmm.
I want to say that they already are beating us or beating the US. Is we just don't even know it yet. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
If SpaceX and what's the other one? Boeing or not Boeing. I think it is Boeing. We have a ton of resources behind us. We have a ton of awesome companies that are helping with our space race. Um, but I just think China is leagues ahead in what they kind of know what they want to do, right? Elon Musk has this whole plan to go to Mars, but is that really viable? Is that really cost effective, or where's the value in going to Mars? Whereas China, I feel like, has certain goals in place with space and, like I said, asteroid mining, their plans for the moon base, stuff like that. They have set goals in place that kind of make more sense. And though we don't really see the technology yet, I bet they already have some pretty high class stuff, pretty
Oh,
awesome stuff that we just don't even know about.
right. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, the one thing, I mean, like that's the thing, right? Like America puts, or American companies put their technological feats on display immediately. Look what we
Yeah.
can do. China's over
Mhm.
here like, okay, yeah, that's nice. I like your little rocket, Elon. Yeah, but we
We'll
already
take
have
that.
like,
We'll take
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, we already have like a
Oh
fully
yeah.
autonomous, asteroid mining machine that we're yet to deploy.
Yeah. Barring anything military based, right? And
Mm,
most of the stuff that we know that, like, I don't know, weapons and stuff, that there's still weapons that we have no idea that they're testing and stuff, prototyping. The US military specifically.
bro,
Yeah.
I was active duty when Osama bin Laden got taken out.
Mhm.
And obviously, I mean, I wasn't special forces, or I didn't have a top secret clearance or anything. I was I was just not really a grunt, but I was there. And when the news came out and they were like, "Oh yeah, one of the stealth helicopters crashed," like everyone in my unit, when we heard, we were like, "Wait, we have stealth helicopters?"
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
like no one,
crazy.
yeah. It's like, wait, what? We have
Wow.
those?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, off of that, maybe there are technological advancements that we have yet to see uh on our side,
mm,
but I do think that China in the long run and just long term will have a better foothold because they just kind of know what they're doing, as opposed
right,
to we're doing a lot of different things and we don't have a set plan.
right. Yeah, We're more focused on exploration in general versus a specific goal in mind, right? Is that yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go to Mars. For what?
Yeah. Yeah. What will it bring?
Yeah.
Right? What's the value in that? I don't know. Like maybe there is. Maybe there is value in that. I don't know. But even the time span for that. The time and money spent just getting us there will I don't know. There's a lot of different things that will outweigh that, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like a moon base or even asteroid mining, whatever it be. Better satellites, better satellite technology, stuff like that.
Well, I think it is nice to have someone, and I know this should be called like Elon talk. I know this already, but it is nice. It is nice to have someone, right? Like we're talking about, more practical applications, right? And that's fine. There's people that's what NASA's for, right?
Yeah.
But it's nice to have someone that's like, oh yeah, that's all good. Yeah, lunar base, sure. Okay, yeah. I'm going to Mars. You guys take care of that. I'm going. Like, it's nice to have someone that's going past what, like the electric car, right? They came out with the Prius and people shit on it, and Chevy tried to do their thing, but they didn't want to cut in on profits from established established models and stuff. And then,
yeah,
that's where Elon came in. He's like, electric cars don't have to be wimpy, right?
Yeah.
And it's good that there is at least one person.
There are options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, we're so glad you guys could actually join us for today's episode of Elon Talk. Well, we're also interested in what you guys think. Will China ignite a new space race and could be a viable competition for SpaceX? Please leave your comments down below. And for our very last topic for today, as Alphabet's Google launched the Pixel poll during Google I/O, joined other brands to offer foldable devices in its portfolio, Apple is now the only global smartphone brand without a foldable model in its offering. Chris, is Apple leaving money on the table by not following suit with the new form factor?
No, I think they're separating themselves. I mean, the foldable thing was done before. And now it's kind of like a fad. And I think Apple's like, let's see.
Do you think it's a fad?
I think
it's a fad.
I think so. It was. I mean, maybe not a fad. Maybe fad's the wrong. Maybe like it's like a cycle, right? Like, oh, now it's foldable, and then next, what's next? Like I want my phone to be this big and weigh 6 pounds, like the original.
Like I remember one interview with Bill Gates before. I think this was back in the 2000s, where he was asked what paradigm shift would happen with what input device is actually going to be used. And I think he mentioned something like a parchment that you roll and turn into a screen. And he also did mention tablets.
Well, I did see a couple of tech oddities like that at CES. Yeah. I did see rollable. I believe they're called. Lenovo has a couple, and LG have a couple of
like
rollable, like laptops. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna check my Facebook, and you do like one of these. Hear ye.
I will say, going off of that, there's a little bit of a story. So when I got this new phone, iPhone 13 Pro, I think, I got this new phone in September of last year, and when I went to go get it, the guy who was at the Verizon store, he had one of those Samsung foldable phones. And he was mentioned the fact that, like, everyone has this now. Everyone's, why are you going iPhone? And it's just because I've always had iPhone, and all my music's on there. I have iCloud. It's just easier for me to just pick iPhone over something else. Plus, the iOS is just much simpler for me as opposed to Android or whatever it be. I feel like it's a bit more complicated, and that's true for a lot of people. But I do think, you said that the foldable thing is a fad. I do think that it's gonna be a major player going forward. I think foldables will have some sort of lasting stay. Maybe not for, maybe for the next 2 or 3 years it'll be big. But I do think you're right in that it is a fad. Because I mean, if Apple isn't really considering, and I think they do, I think they do have a foldable iPad in the works. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I read something about that. But at the same time, it's like Apple does whatever the hell it wants. You know, it doesn't really, it doesn't need to follow trends because people are gonna, as I mentioned, I'm already in the ecosystem, I'm already in the Apple iPhone ecosystem. I am not going to jump ship anytime soon. Neither are anyone else. And most of the youth in the States has iPhones. They're not going to jump ship either because of one major thing, the blue text.
Yeah.
And how crazy is that? You know, like just because of simple as that, the blue what is it? iMessage rules the world, essentially rules, I guess, the youth in that sense. So and it's crazy that tiny little thing can kind of shape a whole market. But and that's why Apple can kind of get away with this stuff. And it's the leader, and it's one of the major leaders just in the mobile facing ecosystem alone. They don't need a foldable. They have pretty good tech, and they don't. And I was mentioning this before the show, but they don't necessarily innovate. Apple isn't in the business of innovation because they already did. They did years ago, and they don't need to innovate anymore. Yeah, that's my 2 cents
Well,
on that. I guess.
I mean, what is the draw of a foldable unit other than it folds?
More screen real estate. I'll say so. When I was talking to the guy about his Samsung, he mentioned so it's the phone that has kind of it's like an iPhone essentially, but you open it up and you have a far more screen. So he was saying it's better for him because he could watch movies or shows and stuff with a far larger screen. And then if he needs to text somebody or see a message, it's easy with just the regular phone size. So and it fits in his pocket fine.
Right.
But not everyone's going to want that. Not everyone wants a whole laptop in their pocket. And I mean, like, are we really watching that much content on our phones? I mean, other than TikTok, I guess. I don't know.
Well, like, I got this is a 21, I think, S21, or 22. I don't know, 21, I think, Pro, whatever. When I got this, I was looking at the foldable. I was interested in the not the one that collapses, the one that's like hot dog buns.
Yes.
It is nice when it's fully open, but when you close it, when I closed it and I held it, it felt like a remote control. It did not feel like a phone. Oh no.
Like, I don't know if it's a generational thing or just
I was just
the way
about to say that it's a generational thing because I remember back when the cell phone was actually in trend
phones,
here.
right?
Phones were actually have much more trendy with smaller screens. I think it's dictated with the amount of things you could actually do on the phone. Back then, the phone was actually just for texting and calling. Why even have a bigger screen? Or screens wasn't even used back then because the internet wasn't actually integrated into it. When the internet actually upgraded itself, and a lot of things can be done with it with the inclusion of apps, that made the size of screen much bigger, so you could do much more stuff. And with the increase in the resolutions for images as well as video technology, I think that's what brought about the foldable thing with having a much more wider screen. The thing on Apple not jumping in this is I never actually remember when was the last time that Apple jumped into someone else's bandwagon.
Never.
Innovators.
They usually are the worst one to start.
And if they do, it's not the whole aspect. They'll take like certain aspects from other phones. I can't like give you an exact example, but software, whatever it be, that they'll leverage certain stuff from other phones and put it into theirs, but still have the same platform. It's not it's not a foldable phone anymore.
But I could also argue it would be because of the ambition of who's actually sitting on the throne there.
Tim Cook.
It could be that reason that they might have this in the docket, like they might have something like similar to this plan, but it's not in their interest right now to do it, and someone else actually got there first.
Oh, I was also gonna say with the generational thing, like at least for me, it's like when I think of foldable phones or whatever, I think of, you know, 19 or not 1990s or like
Mm,
2000s. I think of the old flip phones, like the old foldable phones, like when I was a kid. And that might not resonate with like younger kids. That might not resonate
right.
with younger audiences or even 20-year-olds because that's they don't, foldable phones. That's so
Yeah.
yesterday. Um and that's just my perspective, right? I could be wrong with that. But yeah, it could just be also that generational
Mm.
aspect. Like foldable phone, yucky, that was so yesterday. But
Yeah, there.
I remember when the Sidekick came out, and that was huge, or the
Mm.
BlackBerry. These
The
different
keyboard.
models of the phone, they changed the way that we could interact with people
Mm.
through our phones. Whereas the foldable phone doesn't really do anything like there, like right, like you're not really getting anything other than just extra screen real estate. And what are you going to do with that, as you
Yeah.
said?
The original flip phone, I had one, the Motorola something. It had a little screen on the outside, and then like there was a
Yep.
keypad on the
Razor
inside.
blade or something like that.
No, my sister had the Razor. Uh,
I remember those were so cool back then.
yeah,
You were just the coolest kid if you had a
and
razor.
it was like for me, it just it goes functionality, of course, out the window. It doesn't make a difference. But
Yeah.
in my
Mhm.
mind, in my feeling, there was nothing cooler than like your phone ringing and then you could do one of these like and then you answer.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
That's yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Mhm.
these new ones, I know. So Samsung has two, right? They have the Fold, like a Z. They have one that's like a flip phone, and then they have one that's like a
Like a
tablet.
laptop.
Yeah,
Yeah, tablet. Yeah. That's a
but I
better word for
don't
it.
think this is an option with the one. I think it's more of a one
Yeah.
of those type thing. Like you
Mhm.
it folds all the way open and then becomes like this.
Yeah. Mm.
Just becomes a tiny pocketbook.
Yeah, the pocket thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't
And that just looks
see.
awkward.
Yeah, I don't see the functionality. Like it's more steps,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mhm.
my phone, like two steps, and I'm click it open, hit the thumbprint or face rec, whatever, and it's
Yeah.
open. I don't want to do this
Yep.
to see
I
my
agree.
entire screen.
I even think, and it's pretty fast alone, right? I even think that the face recognition is like almost too slow on my phone sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like,
Like it could be
yeah,
faster. I'm
hello,
sitting there waiting.
yeah.
Yeah, hello, exactly. Yeah.
Like, should I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I need to Do I need to reset my facial recognition? It's been
Do you
two
guys
years,
honestly
maybe.
think that Apple won't be joining in this
I think
game,
they, if they
form
do,
factors?
it would be with, because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that they were testing it out with iPads. So if we do see it from Apple, it would be in the iPad. But even then, like,
That makes more sense.
what's a foldable gonna do for their business? Nothing really. Like again, going back to what I said, people are gonna buy Apple no matter what, whether they have a foldable or not. People are gonna buy Apple because it's Apple.
All right.
They don't really care. They don't need to be a part of that zeitgeist. They don't need to be a part of the foldable crowd because people are gonna buy their shit anyway. People
Yeah.
don't care. People don't care about the
Is
foldable thing.
Yeah, is Apple still in the position right now financially for them to ignore a certain market
Oh
that's
yeah.
worth billions? Are they still in a comfortable space?
Yeah, for sure.
I think
I'm
they
not
have
an Apple user.
lost. I think they have lost user base or some market share because of what the Carl PA's stuff. What's the Nothing phone? I do think the Nothing phone has stolen a bit of market share from Apple just because it's cheaper, cheaper buying. It's like 600, $500, and it's a little bit better technology, and it looks cooler. It's better designed. And other phones as well, not just the Nothing phone,
Mhm.
but I do think the Nothing phone has added weight for people to leave Apple. But at the same time, Apple again, the blue iMessage, like no one wants to leave that. No one wants that having that. Like there are certain people that their parents would be mad at them if they got a new phone because the messages or the group chat is now green. Like that
I've heard
social
that.
construct, that social thing has like really it's aided Apple. And
Mhm.
it's one of the reasons like iMessage is even a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so uh, it, I don't know. It's with the foldable, it would I think it would depend on the company with the foldable. But I don't see Apple jumping. I don't see Apple jumping into it anytime soon, really. Personally, especially for how their technology works.
Hmm. Well, I mean,
They
I think
like
if Steve
easy.
Jobs
They
was
like
still alive,
simplicity. Like they
hmm,
are they are the company. The face of Apple is simplicity. And foldable just doesn't seem simple.
it's
Like
not
as
simple at all.
As Chris said, like it's not really in their wheelhouse, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Just it would look funky, I feel like, on an Apple device.
I
And
kind
then
of think if Steve Jobs was still alive, they'd be at hologram at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have like a little like wrist
yeah,
thing, and it would just that would be our phone, like a little like hologram
yeah,
thing on our
that'd be
Like
wrist.
crazy.
AR.
Yeah.
There were some
Yeah.
talks of integrating AR to phones, right? Before.
Yes. Hmm. Oh, glasses, right? I mean, I know pretty sure Apple, Google has worked on lenses of some kind, um, where they can show like a hologram, but like only you see the hologram through the glasses, if that makes sense. Like for directions or a phone call, whatever it be. Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see one day us not even having phones, just sunglasses. Or all our content is in our glasses.
could also be that they're also thinking of what percentage of adoption would this thing be getting, right?
Yeah,
Would it be worth it for R&D?
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, do
Because
you?
I think the entire foldable thing was actually done before. Like I think I don't know if it was you or Chris who actually brought it up, but I think Samsung already brought out a phone with
Mm,
foldable technology.
yeah,
Yeah.
two of them.
And
Mhm.
how many people do you see with foldable phones now?
I have a friend.
A
He
couple.
he bought the foldable, the tablet looking one. He bought it, and then I want to say less than a week. He gave it to his son and bought and went back to the traditional large screen smartphone. His
Why did
son's
he give you a
7.
reason?
His son's
Did he
7,
say
by
did he say why?
I think that's just it. It's just not practically functional. It's cool,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you're 40 years old, are you looking for cool or are you looking for something that you can use quickly and effectively?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
So he gave it to his kid and got like another one. Yeah.
Yeah, I really just don't see Apple with a foldable phone. I really just couldn't picture it. And also too, like Apple has made a really big point of upping the technology in their glass and stuff. And I think that would using a foldable would kind of go against that because they always want to people breaking their phones has been like a major
Mm,
problem for them. So improving a glass, improving the outer shell of the phone has been more important than introducing some new design like
right.
foldable.
And as Apple is, they are they're very much so reliant on retaining users, right? Like they want people
Yes.
to keep coming back and Apple. I feel like for them going foldable kind of is like, sticking your head out when you're not sure if it's safe yet. Right?
Yeah,
Like why are we going to put our the last thing they want to hear is Apple's new foldable underwhelms.
that's a great point.
Right.
Yeah,
Like we're good
that's a
where
great
we are.
point.
Don't let's not we don't need to go out here walking in the landfill that is
Yeah.
foldable technology. Let's stick right here and let these guys maybe eventually if they have something that is, if you do this 100 times, 100 million times, then there's no crease, right? When the technology is better,
Yep.
yeah, sure. But right now, and back to your point about the foldable iPad, that makes
I
sense.
think it would work better there, right? It's like you're not really because yeah, a lot of their business with Apple is the iPhone,
Mhm.
whereas iPad is just kind of supplementary product or supplementary just tech,
And it feels like to me,
gadget.
the iPad is an incredibly vulnerable gadget, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
thin.
Yeah.
It's at least with a MacBook, right? You can fold it, screens somewhat protected, keyboard somewhat protected. Uh, the iPad is kind of just there. You know,
Clunky too a little bit.
if you
It's like
got that
just
in a if you got that in a bag and somebody
yeah.
throws their shit on top of it, God only knows what happened to your iPad.
Yeah.
Foldable, And I mean, if they're going to go foldable, then I would prefer they take this MacBook Air and do this an entire screen and give me the option of a keypad here, or I can turn, you know what I'm saying? Like there's other things
Interesting.
that Apple can do in
Yeah.
the foldable sector rather than smartphones. Like turn this entire
Yeah.
thing into a screen. That would be great.
Yeah, if you can fold it 4 times and put it in your wallet, I would dare them to do it.
Yeah.
And also too, I mean, a lot of Apple's engineering or their redesigning, whatever it be, their R&D has been with the chip side, not so much the hardware side, but the chips, M1 chips, M2. They just want to improve the internals rather than the outside, the external. So like folding for them is just like whatever, it doesn't really do anything. Whereas the chip, they improve the chip, improve the glass, whatever it be. It has lasting effects on their business, I think, personally.
Well, what do you guys think? Are you down with using a foldable phone, or you think this fad that will just go away like disco? Please leave your comments down below. And with that being said, we've reached the end of the show, and we'd like to thank you again for making us a part of your week. On behalf of Chris Short and Ryan Epps, have a good one and see you next week.
Take care.